Hello guys, Adam here from Switch Indie Fix, and I am bringing you episode 25 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything indie on the Nintendo Switch. And in this week's episode, we'll be talking about all the news from this week's Nindie Showcase, as well as talking about what we've been playing this week. For the first time ever on the show, I'll be joined by not one but two guests. The first is YouTuber Paul, who runs SwitchedOn on YouTube. I guess, Paul, it's youtube.com/SwitchedOn. /C/SwitchedOn. I don't know. I haven't got the official URL yet. Okay. So, but if people Google YouTube search SwitchedOn, you should come up, right?
Yeah, I'll come up. I'll be on there.
So, Paul, give the listeners a short introduction, like an elevator pitch of what your channel's about and what you're about and the kind of content you create.
Yeah, cool. Everything Switch, really. So we've got reviews and top 10 lists. Do a lot of game streams as well, but mainly focus on like the smaller games and indie games because there's such a big market for those sort of bigger AAA games. It's not worth getting in amongst those big boys. So just trying to get the interest in little games that people might have missed.
Yeah, I think it's good. I was looking on your channel today in your review of the I've forgotten the name of the game, but like the F1 simulator game. I saw your review got like a good amount of views. So I guess it's all about finding that little niche, right? The people that the main sites aren't covering these games, so if you can find a niche, then hopefully it results in more viewers.
Yeah, that's right. And sort of the baseball game that came out, I knew that would do quite well because people always ask, if that's any good, and there's a lot of baseball fans. So yeah, that one did well as well. But yeah, those sort of sports games and smaller games always do quite well.
Cool. And our second guest is quickly becoming a seasoned veteran on the show. He's all the way from the Switch Indie Fix Discord server. It's the tingalizing Darth Stridious. Darth, how are you doing this week?
Very good. Very excited from all the news you had this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Looking
that's what I wanted to ask.
To the glorious 2019 Indies.
Yeah, and it's definitely a great year for Nindies on the Switch after this week's Nindie Showcase. So, just a gentle reminder, we do need your questions for the show. So, if you have any Nintendo or indie game related questions and want them read out on the show, head over to switchindiefix.com/SIF Podcast. Plus, if you are looking for a fun gaming community, just like Darth and Paul were, come and join the Switch Indie Fix Discord server. To join, just head over to switchindiefix.com/Discord. And as always, guys, we start with section 1 of the show, which is our news section. And this week we actually have only 2 news items on the list, which is, Darth?
1/6 of a baker's dozen.
1/6 of a baker's dozen. But the first news is a very, very long one. So our first news story is the Nindie Showcase hit last Wednesday, and there was some really, really big announcements made. Paul, when I heard about the Nindie Showcase, I was kind of a bit skeptical and kind of thinking, well, what could they show? Like, what did you think when they first announced it? Like, was there anything you were really excited to see?
Yeah, the trouble is when they announce these Nindie Showcases, you kind of get really excited and you start putting together a wish list of what you want them to announce. And to be honest, they usually let you down a little bit. So I was hoping, I always hope for the same games every showcase, sort of Shakedown, Hawaii, Slay the Spire, and then you think about Cuphead. Is that going to happen? And you normally get let down. Dream, so yeah, I was tentatively looking forward to it. Had my wish list ready, but was ready to be disappointed.
And what about you, Darth? Were you excited, or were you kind of I was quietly optimistic about it. Like, what were you like when they announced it on Tuesday that there would be a showcase?
I was expecting the showcase to happen because the GDC was last week, and they always do a showcase during GDC. So it was like, when will it happen? If it will happen. I'm expecting something huge just because it's GDC and there's so many indie companies at GDC. So you figure out this is the time that they will talk about it because you have so much press there that can talk to those developers afterwards and take the story from the indies and then just blow it up, right?
Yeah.
So if I was figuring that we were going to hear about games we knew about, which kind of we didn't, and then like new games that were going to come out or expected this year, right? It was going to be like their first. This is the platter of games coming out this year that you should be excited for, and tidbits, and that's what we essentially got.
I kind of tweeted after the show that I was kind of surprised by every game that they showed. Like, there wasn't, apart from My Friend is Pedro, there wasn't really anything else I'd seen before. Like,
but My Friend Pedro was never on Indies, right? Sorry, it was never on Indie. It was never on Nintendo stage. It was during wasn't it only at Devolver stuff?
Maybe.
E3
maybe
last
it
year.
was.
I think Devolver showed it, but I don't think Nintendo ever showed it on their in their. Plus, again, they may have shown it on maybe the UK one, right?
Yeah.
But this one here essentially is like the biggest, Nindie highlights, because like I barely knew that a UK one was happening if I didn't follow UK Twitter, right? Yeah. And I think this one was shown on all Nintendo Twitters and stuff, right? So it was much more global, if you want to say, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say the Nindie one is the Nindie
highlights.
Nintendo of America showcase is definitely the biggest one. It's the kind of the one everyone looks forward to. Like, I think the European one's called the Nindie Highlight or Indie Highlights.
And then there's the one in Japan, which is, I'm not even sure the name of it now.
I think it's Indie Land or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Nindie Showcase is definitely what we look forward to. And this time around we were, I think, exceedingly lucky. Started watching it, and there was this weird black and white, like old 50s kind of news anchor looking thing.
Which kind of gave away what it was.
Really? See, I had no idea what it was, because I was watching it on the way home on the Underground, and I was like, have I clicked on the wrong YouTube video here? Because it just seemed to go on so long, and I was like, what is going on? And the guy brought out the mask, and I thought maybe it was that We Happy Few, and I was like, is that a We Happy Few mask? And I was like, no, it's definitely not that. And then the kind of music kicked in, and what's he called?
Mugman and Cuphead.
Yeah. Cuphead, yeah.
Yeah, they jumped out, and I was like, kind of, oh my god, like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, it was one of the when I first started my site, I wrote a post that was like 10 indie games I'd love to see on the Switch, and like Cuphead was on there. But it was kind of like in a perfect world this would happen, and right now it seems to be a perfect world with Nintendo and Microsoft working together.
And this means, hopefully, 2 more indie games that Microsoft has will come to the Switch. And those I'm more excited about, because those will be perfect indie Switch games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't know.
3.
I kind of get the feeling with some of these indie games where Microsoft, I think they're starting to become very indie-focused too, because...
what's the idea?
They're and they're like lacking in first-party games. But I feel like some of them, like Cuphead, are kind of, I feel like they are stuck on the Xbox, and like at least a lot of people in my sphere are very PlayStation or Switch focused, and I'm kind of like happy now that Cuphead is coming to the Switch, because it's such like a huge indie game, and the Switch is becoming such a huge indie platform. Like, I think it's like a perfect fit, but I just never really thought it would ever happen.
And it's insane that Microsoft went to MDHD to say, can you put us on Switch, over the other way around?
Yeah.
Right? You think it would be the other way around, be like, this is a perfect game for Switch, can we please put it on, because we'll make more money off this. But if Microsoft went to them, which is insane. And like, there's 3 games I'm hoping now will come, are the 2 Oris, and the one, and Tunic, because Tunic will do amazing on the Switch.
Yeah.
Because it's very...
Have you played Cup? Go on, Paul.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got a sneaky suspicion as well, because they've like Xbox have got their own sort of indie showcase that they've announced for this coming week. I think it's on Monday.
No, that's PlayStation's.
Okay.
No, the Xbox have announced an indie one as well, haven't they, for next week?
Oh, okay, but I know Monday's PlayStation. I'll look
Monday's
Monday.
PlayStation's okay, but yeah, I don't know why. It's probably complete fantasy, but I got a sneaky suspicion they might announce Cuphead 2. Could you imagine, like, all the hype of getting Cuphead on the Switch?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Xbox exclusive Cuphead 2. That would be quite a follow-up.
Yeah, it's like a 1-2 punch, right? Like, exactly. They have all of the positive media from working with Nintendo and bringing an exclusive game to a Nintendo system, but then, the next week, if they did come out with Cuphead 2, it's like a great like tide of positive media and goodwill that the Xbox are getting.
Yeah,
it's Tuesday.
But
Thursday.
Tuesday's the
Xbox
Tuesday.
one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 26. Yeah.
But
have you played Cuphead, Paul?
I have.
Because I know you.
Yeah, I've got it on. I've got it on Xbox. It's really difficult. I mean, I'm not the greatest gamer anyway, so I struggle on that.
Yeah.
And then I got it on Mac because I realised they'd released it on Mac, and I've not got a controller, so I have to use the keyboard. So that's even worse. So
right.
already
can imagine.
pre-ordered and really looking forward to it on the Switch. I think it'd be perfect. Although I do fear that everyone's going to end up with like broken Switches because they're just going to be thrown against walls and stuff.
Just snapping them in half, yeah.
Well, it didn't happen when people played Dark Souls, so I mean...
True, yeah, and Celeste.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah. No, I like I said, I was really surprised. I think it's a great game because even though the levels are very hard, like in theory, you can beat them in like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You know, because they're mostly boss rush, right? And then there's a few run and gun levels. And yeah, you know, it might take you like, I don't know, 10 tries or more to beat the boss, but each time is kind of like a 1 or 2 minute trial where it's like, okay, you go in, you kind of learn the patterns, you die, okay, you go in again, you get a little bit further, the health bar goes down a little bit more, then you die again, and then it might be like, you know, however many tries it takes, eventually, if you keep trying and you kind of perfect your skills, then you're gonna win. And I think in handheld mode, I think the game's, I hope the game's gonna look like great because of the art style.
Yeah.
Like I really hope they've done a good job porting it, like, and it doesn't have this, you know, like Vaseline looking effect on the screen.
Have you seen it running yet? There's been quite a few people showing it off already that've got like review copies.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
it looks great.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I don't think a problem with it is it's on Unity, and there's not like there's a lot of like particle effects and stuff. It's more just 2D renders. So I'm not worried at all about that game having problems.
No, because I love playing like really colourful games in the in handheld mode because I just think like the screen they just pop on the screen and it just looks so much better. Well, obviously not like, I don't know, maybe not better than on your TV, but it's better than, you know, playing on like a Vita in handheld or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited about Cuphead.
I was pleased with the price as well. I thought they could have stung the price a little bit, but I think it's been priced really well. I think it's like £17.
I think it's the same price. I think it's the same price they had for it on Xbox when it came out.
Yeah, but I think they could perhaps chuck some Switch tax on top and probably still gotten away with it. You know, even $24.99 people would probably pay. Yeah,
because they did more work to purport it, and I mean we're also getting free content too, right? So that's also a nice boost.
Yeah, definitely.
I think their DLC is coming out. Their Delicious Last Course, hence you'll see it's coming out around the same day.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know you get to play as like the Urn Woman, right? And there's a few more levels to beat.
And the controllers are the perfect color for Cuphead. Red and blue.
Yeah, the red and blue. Yeah. There's like a bit of like foreshadowing there, I think.
Now bring them to Smash.
Kind of like with what do you call it? What's the game called? Yanni with Yanni.
Or Unraveled that came out yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yesterday, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, cool. Do you think this was the biggest game announced during Nindie's showcase? Paul or Duff?
Biggest in terms of like, yes, I would say biggest, not the most surprising.
No.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the biggest. When he was talking about the intro there, it was black and white. I was talking to some friends on another Discord channel as well, and just in capital letters like Cuphead and loads of exclamation marks.
Yeah.
And they were like, really? And I was like, oh, it's got to be. But I'm sure it's the guy that did the voice from the sort of the in-game narrator. I'm sure that was the same guy that did the voice, so it kind of gave it away straight away. But yeah, it was still great. Like you said, when the two guys dropped out the cup, it was yeah, I think it wasn't so much a surprise because of the rumours that have been going around for so long, but you know, they sort of tried to temper those rumours a little bit, and then to actually see it come true. And if you notice the wording as well, they use like they're friends at Microsoft, so there's obviously something going on, and they wanted to make that clear. So yeah, it was really, really great announcement.
Well, they said then the Xbox said like after the thing that they're bringing their Xbox Live to it also at some point in the future.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So we'll probably get achievements and stuff like that through playing Cuphead.
Yeah, there is achievements in it. I was watching RGT85 this morning. He was playing through it, and he was sort of flicking around the menus, and he said there's achievements, but he didn't confirm if they were Xbox Live achievements or just sort of in-game achievements. But there's certainly like an achievements page.
Well, I'm assuming what's going to happen is that they're going to do it in-game, because you might not need to connect. You might not need to connect to Xbox. and it's not coming right away, then I'm assuming then that when you do connect, it'll just ping your achievements and give it to you.
Yeah, true.
Because that's the kind of thing I'm thinking now. Is like if they are gonna, because I'm kind of like an achievement and trophy whore. Yeah. So I'm like, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna pick the game up on day one because I do want the gamer points or whatever they call for Xbox.
You'll get them because like I played let's say games are on beta and they do count further on. Like they ping right after, even if they don't count when you got them, you'll get them when you connect to a server.
So
that's not gonna be a problem if people are worried about. Oh no, I'm not gonna get the achievements if I play before it comes in. You will. You'll see like 10 of them pop in like 1 minute, but you'll get them.
Yeah. Cool. So the next game showed in the Nindie showcase was called Overland, and I'll read the like synopsis just to give everyone's memory a little jog. So it says Finji delivers a new game from Adam Saltzman, the creator of Cannibal. In this turn-based survivor game, players take care of a group of travelers on a post-apocalyptic. Well, I say I'll read it, but I keep messing up. Post-apocalyptic road trip across the United States. Fight off scary creatures, rescue stranded survivors, and scavenge for supplies like fuel, first aid kits, and weapons. There are consequences for every action. The game launches on Nintendo Switch this fall. When I saw this game, the first thing that came to mind was Death Road to Canada.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the kind of foundation of the game is the same. Like, you're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse and have a road trip across the US instead of Canada this time, I guess. But it seems to be a bit more like strategy based and maybe a bit more like narrative based. Like it seems that from the kind of introduction video, I feel like your actions kind of mean something to the story, which I think is like a really cool concept. But yeah, what did you think, Darth?
I actually got more vibes of Into the Breach, because it's more strategy.
Really?
It's more strategy. The map size are not huge.
Yeah.
But like the style of movement, and you're trying to survive, which essentially Into the Breach in a way too. But it seemed that you gotta save a dog, grab this. Like, I'm assuming what's gonna happen. Like, you want to find stuff for as you go, so it won't just be encompassing that one level. Be like, oh, let me find health packs that maybe in 2 levels from now I may need it. Right? You're not just
to revive a friend or something. Yeah,
I think it's a cool idea. Yeah. And again, perfect for the Switch. It seems that those levels are probably not gonna be like insanely long, like in terms of like 20-30 minutes. Hopefully there could be like short, small levels that you can, and quite a few of them, so you can easily pick one up, play it on the metro ride to work. Okay, I'm done with it. I'll do another level on my way home.
Yeah. And what about you, Paul? Did you get any vibes from the game?
Yeah, it's going to be quite weird because I thought of the original Fallout games immediately, sort of a post-apocalyptic world and a turn-based strategy. So Death Road to Canada crossed with Into the Breach, crossed with Fallout. So, but I really liked it. I mean, I'm a big fan of strategy games, and I like the post-apocalyptic setting, and I love Death Road to Canada. So yeah, this one went straight onto top of my watch list. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect game.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Next up on the list was My Friend is Pedro, what we've already kind of talked about before, earlier in the podcast. So it's Devolver Digital and Dead Toast deliver what is undoubtedly the first game about friendship, imagination, and one of man's struggles to obliterate anyone in his path at the behest of a sentient banana. Yeah, I can't remember where we saw it first. Like, it was definitely, you're right, it definitely was at the Devolver E3 stage. But for some reason, I just can imagine not seeing any gameplay, just seeing like a splash screen of the banana somewhere, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But what do you think, Paul, of My Friend Pedro? Like, Devolver seem to be really supporting the Switch, and I think this one is going to be, it's a system exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, and it's arriving in June.
Yeah, I think that was quite surprising in itself. I don't think when they showed it originally, they said it was going to be a Switch exclusive, but that's a really nice thing. But yeah, I mean, Devolver Digital, look, their games are just amazing. So they've got such a track record now that pretty much any game they bring out is sort of like, oh, that's a must-have, even before you know what really is going into it. But yeah, I really like look at this one. I like sort of run-and-gun games, and the combat just looks really good. I was watching it a couple of times again today as well, just like, if you turn the sound up when the trailer's playing, you can really like almost feel the gunplay. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, especially on the big screen, like just the feedback from the guns and just spraying bullets everywhere. Yeah, definitely on my list as well.
Yeah. What I like about Devolver is like their games, they always seem to have like really good mechanics, but then they always seem to have like these crazy kind of concepts of like the story or the characters or something, and I think it gives their games like so much like personality. Like Darth, we were talking about Ape Out, like the game, the kind of the loop of the game is just so satisfying. Like it's so difficult, but the kind of idea of this ape escaping is just like really random, but it makes the games stand out. Do you think you're gonna get My Friend is Pedro?
I'm
not right away. I don't think. It just reminds me too much of Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know why, because I think it's Pedro that's giving me referencing.
Okay.
But it looks like it's gonna be a fun game. I think it's gonna be good for the Switch. It's like parkour mixed with gunplay. There's another one further on that we're gonna talk about, which I'm more interested. Has very similar vibes. Also, Devolver Digital. That I think I'm going to pick up right over this one when it comes out.
Yeah. Okay. So the next game that was shown was called NeoCab, and it says fellow traveler and chance agency what? I guess they're the names of the devs. Fellow traveler and chance agency offer an emotional survival game about staying human in a world disrupted by automation. Lena, the last human driver on the neon-drenched streets of Los Ojos, California, interacts with a diverse cast of characters with individual story arcs. Players must balance their income, sustain a positive rating system, and manage their emotions, as fulfilling Lena's job as a rideshare driver is the only way they might reunite her with her best friend Savvy, who's mysteriously gone missing. The game launches on Nintendo Switch this summer. This game kind of seems like a text-based, like make your own kind of story game. Like when I was watching it, it reminded me a lot of Subsurface Circular, where you basically interviewing the passengers in the taxi and trying to like work out their narrative threads through what they say. But I kind of like that it's been a bit more gamified with the sounds of this like the star rating that you have to maintain and getting people to the right place, like dropping them off and actually doing like being a taxi driver as well or a rideshare driver as well. What do you think, Darth?
Yeah, I mean, this did not interest me when I saw it. I don't think I'll get it. And yeah, for people who like very story-based games, I think this is a very good game, and it makes sense putting on the Switch because it's handheld. You can put your headphones on and play whenever you want. I think if there's a lot of divergence of story, it'd be very cool, but I'm not sure how much we'll see in terms of if you choose one thing and someone else chooses another thing. Will there be a huge like change? And because it's gonna be
I guess that's
one real environment, you're just gonna be in a car most likely the whole time. It doesn't really interest me in terms of like story based. I'd rather a bit more exploration, a bit more stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean with like I keep wanting to say Quantum Break, but it's not called that. It's Subsurface Circular. Like it was really like it was just like a text based game. So everything was just you just were reading through it and making decisions, which I guess a lot of this Neon Cab is going to be too. But like I said, I kind of hope that it is gamified a little bit with the getting like a user rating from your passengers. Did this game tickle your fancy at all, Paul?
Yeah, when I was watching the Direct itself, or the Nindie Showcase, I actually wrote down in my notes Uber Simulator 2019. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like you say, it depends what the actual gameplay parts are, but it looked quite interesting. And one of the things I like about the Switch, and a game I'll talk about later, but I like games that have got something completely different. And whilst this is, we've seen sort of text-based story games before. Obviously, we haven't seen one based around a taxi, so yeah, it could be quite interesting.
No. Yeah, it does sound like like 2019 the game. Like, you're an Uber driver and you're living in this like tech city, and it's kind of funny. Like, I feel like a lot of games are starting to tackle this like issue of maybe in the future that things are going to be automated or there's like with what was a game called by David Cage on the PlayStation, Detroit Become Human, like about androids and stuff, and a lot of games are kind of trying to tackle that issue, which I think is quite an interesting one. And I did like the art style of the game. Like, it seems to be very like, what is the word? Like, is it like static motion, where it's actually like like it's kind of like a fixed screen, but maybe her eyes move or whatever, or she kind of turns the wheel. Like, there's not really much animation in it, but I did like the art style. But yeah, that game, Neon Cab, will be released. Oh, well, it's planned to launch in summer this year. Next one we saw was a game called Red Lantern by Timberland Studios. The game challenges players to survive the Alaskan tundra with a team of 5 sled dogs. The musher becomes lost while training for the grueling...
Iditarod.
How do you say it? Iditarod, thanks. Race and must fend off bears, resist frostbite, and take care of dogs while navigating the wilderness and trying to return home. The game is coming to Switch later this year. So I think the one main question about this game and this game's reveal was, did they really need to show the dog getting its neck broke by the bear? What do you think?
I've actually put in my notes here, dog murdering bear. So, but yeah, when I started watching it, I kind of switched off. This was like my point to switch off during the showcase, and I actually put on Twitter, oh great, 10 minutes of dog racing gameplay. But to be honest, the more I watched of it, it sort of drew me back in, and now I'm quite looking forward to it actually. Once it got past the sort of the story part, I mean, a lot of people are sort of comparing it to Firewatch or something like that, but I think it's going to have a bit more about it than Firewatch. But yeah, it pulled me back in towards the end, and I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah. What about you,
it's exactly the same. I mean, when it was like just a race game, like, I don't want to race dogs around and mush, and look, I can use if I'm playing handheld, I can, use the gyroscopic stuff to turn. I'm like, I don't. This is not fun. But when they added you have the perilous journey, you have to hunt, and you have to maybe protect your dogs or the dog to protect you. Because when the bear attacked, you know that there was an empty slot where the dogs were. Like, you could tell that dog was gone. So it was interesting. I think it would be very unique, and it could be very interesting. But again, I probably won't be a day one buy for me. I don't think. I'll wait for it to go on special. And see what it is and what people think it is.
Good. So the next game on our list that was shown on the Nindie Showcase is Darkwood. Darkwood is basically a survival horror game set in East Central Europe in a forest possessed by unknown evil forces that corrupt all the inhabitants of the world, people, animals, and even the plants. Players can get new powers by extracting a strange essence from mutated fauna and flora and injecting it into their bloodstream. The game builds an atmospheric, psychological feeling of tension within the usual horror tricks of jump scares and creaking doors. Game is set to launch in May. Darth, I know you wanted to. You're really into the next game, so why don't you read the next description for Katana Zero?
Katana Zero, another Devolver Digital game, and ASCII Soft have created a stylish neo-noir action platformer featuring breakneck action and instant death combat. Player take on the role of an assassin, the dragon, to slash, dash, and manipulate time to unravel their past in a beautifully brutal acrobatic display. Players can overcome the opposition, however, the situation requires at each level. Uniquely designed for countless methods of completion, deflect gunfire, back at foes, dodge oncoming attacks, and manipulate enemies and environments with traps and explosives. Leave no survivors. The game launches on Nintendo Switch on April 18th and is available for pre-purchase today.
So, what interests you so much in the game, Duff?
Okay, so this is one of the games where I'm from Montreal, and each year we have a huge demo night of a lot of companies in Montreal showing off their games. Yeah. This was one of them there. They're a Montreal-based company. Yeah. So I saw a bit more of the gameplay than, let's say, we saw in the showcase. And it just looks like a very beautiful game. The music's really well done. It looks stylish, and again, very quick paced. Levels really quick, 2-3 minutes, not even. Perfect for the Switch. Playing, put it away, and it just looks much. It looks that I like that pixelated look to it. That very arcadey look. Yeah, me too. That it gives, and it the levels you can see, and it's just you can see it's kind of again planning out what you're going to do, which just looks really fun. Yeah, I like that it's one hit, one kill. If you get hit, then you die and have to reset the level. And I thought it was kind of cool at the end how they kind of hinted that there is some other kind of game changing mechanic with this medicine where they're I don't forget to take your medicine. So I'm wondering what that does. I thought it was a really
a really interesting looking game. What did you think, pal? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, again, Devolver Digital, so it's automatically a must-buy, pretty much. But
yeah,
it looked okay. I mean, we've seen a few of these now, like The Messenger. There's a couple of sort of 2D platform ninja games. Mm-hmm. But I'll pick it up. But I was like you, kind of, I was so on the gameplay until the therapist part pops up, and all of a sudden it's like, what is that about? All of a sudden, you're a ninja, and then you're at your therapy session, dealing with your issues and taking your medicine. So yeah, quite intrigued by what that part is.
Yeah, cool. The next game on was Rad, and Paul, do you want to read through Rad?
Yeah, sure. Double Fine Productions and Bandai Namco Entertainment present a 3D action roguelike set in a post-apocalyptic world. As a teenage protagonist, players must journey into the fallow and ever-changing, procedurally generated wasteland that holds the secrets of the past and the answers for the future. Here, radioactive toxins will randomly mutate your character, giving you powerful new abilities that challenge you to constantly adapt your playstyle. Using these abilities and your trusty bat, you have been tasked with saving humanity's future by healing the world. And this one launches on the Switch in the summer.
So, any thoughts on this game from you, Paul?
I didn't like the look of this one at all, to be honest.
No, me neither.
I couldn't get a handle on what it was trying to do, and it looked, I don't know, it looked like it was trying to be a bit retro, and I don't know, it just seemed a bunch of ideas that at the minute from the short trailer, I just didn't grab me at all. Didn't know what was going on really.
What did you think, Daff?
I mean, from the trailer, it was like, okay, this could look very much like a Double Fine game by how it looks. But then reading up on it, because of course a lot of websites start talking about it because it's Double Fine.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool, and it sounds like it's very much like a small kind of like roguelike game where you're different teenagers every time you die, and you keep all the money you collect is there. Like you can buy stuff and keep getting better. The mutations look unique. That like if you have a snake head and then you had to want to blaze eggs, all your mini versions will have the snake head too. So it looks like a cool way of getting different mutations and working together, and things like, again, things that really work well together and things that don't, and how that will change your gameplay.
Yeah, knowing that, because I've only seen what was in the presentation, and I thought they were kind of going for a bit of like this 90s vibe, and I think they were a bit like too on the nose with it. And in the game, in the video itself, it didn't really explain there was gameplay, but I kind of didn't really know what type of game it was. Like I understood, there's mutations, and if you, I don't know, somehow mutate with a snake, you get a snake head, or you mutate with like this monster that lays eggs, then you can like lay little minions yourself. But I think it was kind of like a weird, I don't know, it was kind of a weird showing, I thought, in the showcase. Like I know Double Fine is like, they make great games, and Tim Schafer is like, is there and kind of the head of it, but it was a funny one for me. So let's move on to the next one. I'll read this one. Next one is called Creature in the Well. Flight School Studio challenges players to this top-down, pinball-inspired hack-and-slash dungeon crawler. Players ventures deep into a desert mountain haunted by a desperate creature to restore power to an aging facility by charging energy orbs and having them bounce around and ricochet to reactivate dormant machinery. They will uncover and upgrade powerful gear to help them save the city of Mirage from a deadly sandstorm. The game launches on Nintendo Switch this summer. Kind of cool looking game if you're into that genre, I guess. I don't think it's maybe for me, but what about you two?
I'm for sure going to pick this one up. It looks really cool.
Oh, really?
I like the idea of the pinball style action with different weapons. It could be very unique. I think it's like, I like the art style of it. It's very I'm really interested in this game. It was one of the few games where I'm like, okay, this is probably a day one buy for me.
Oh, really? Wow. I wasn't expecting that. And what about you, Paul?
Yeah, I'll bring some balance then, because I hated this.
Oh, really?
It looked a lot like a Hyper Light Drifter. But the thing that turned me off, I mean, we've got one of these pinball games. We've got Yoko's Island Express. Seemed to be like they're riffing on that a bit too much. And there's like a really annoying noise in the background of like just the pins being hit constantly. And I think that would just drive me nuts if that was going constantly. So yeah, this was probably one of the worst games on the showcase for me.
Okay, nice. Then we have a very wide spectrum of our thoughts on it. Cool. One game that I did think looked really cool, and I don't know if you've seen it too, Darth, on Kind of Funny, was Bloodroots.
Oh yeah, this one. Saw this at the demo night I was at.
Yeah, because I was gonna say this one's developed Montreal, right?
And this one again, it was right when I saw. I'm like, oh, this is a day one. Like, I'm buying this like as soon as it comes out. And then when I saw it here, I was like, hell yes, it's coming to the Switch. Even better.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I don't know. In the showcase, I was like, oh, okay, there's this weird guy with like a wolf hat on his head, and I was like, yeah, cool. But it wasn't until I saw the Kind of Funny Let's Play that I was like, oh, actually, I'm like sold on this game too. Like, I want to play it day one because it just looks so so varied. So like, I guess the point of the game is that there's like levels with different enemies in it, and you have to like, I guess, like, try and kill them as quickly as you can, and you can like challenge your friends to get the quickest time to kill them. But there's like so many like funny ways that you can kill all these enemies, and everything's kind of like, each run would be different from the other. Like, you know, you might pick up an axe and throw it at one enemy, and then like you can jump on a barrel and use the barrel to knock down others. I think it's really cool. I don't know if there's any online aspect to it. Maybe
probably
like
leaderboards.
Yeah, if there's leaderboards, I think that would be cool, because then we could challenge each other in the Discord and be like, yeah, you know, if you got this game, here's my time. But yeah, like I said, the aesthetic of the game, I'm still not really that into, but I feel like it looks like cool gameplay.
I mean, this game looked like, for me, remind me of Ape Out. In terms of, again, we didn't really explain this game. We just said it's called Bloodroots. But in terms of like,
sorry, I didn't read the thing. Yeah.
But you're going from like area to area, and you have to like solve how to kill people and go to the next one. And like, again, you die, you're back in that area, and there's like picking up axes to hit them, or picking up different tools and trying to kill everyone in the area as quick as you can. And it's quick gameplay, and it's just like, how do you do it? How planning out your way, and especially watching someone playing like when KF played it, like, kill him, I'm gonna kill him, go back, kill this guy, grab this, go up there, I'm gonna kill this guy, and that idea of
there's
like,
almost like a puzzle aspect to it, like,
but very fast
you
paced.
Need to think of the order and what you want to kill people, and what's close to you that you can use as a weapon to do it, which I think is cool. And like you say, a lot like Ape Out. Any thoughts, pal? Sorry, I keep calling you pal because
that's right.
in where I work, I have two kids that they're called Paul, but in German they say it Paul. So
okay.
If I keep saying Paul, that's why. Sorry.
Either's Paul. Fine. This is another game that, you know, we play so many games. I don't know what you guys are like, but I make really quick decisions, like almost instant, sort of whether I like it or not. And as soon as I started seeing this one, I thought this is really oddly placed, so near to Red, because it looks so similar to it. And again, tuned out a bit, but by the end of the short trailer, I was all in on it, like you guys. So reminded me, like you say, of Ape Out, and a bit like Hotline Miami. When I saw sort of all the combos being used. So yeah, it looks really interesting. So we'll definitely be, I've never heard of it before, but we'll be keeping an eye on this one coming out for definite.
Cool. The next game I think is quite like, I don't know, I was really happy to see them have it in the showcase, but I think what they showed was like pretty bad. The game is called Pine. It comes from Twirlbound and Congregate. And it offers a stirring open world adventure with beautiful biomes to explore, puzzles to solve, and secrets to discover. Players take on the role of Hugh, a brave young adult who belongs to the last remaining tribe of humans on the island of Albemarle. The island's factions trade and fight with each other over food and territory, while Hugh learns about ways to influence the ecology in search of a new home for humans. The game launches on Nintendo Switch in August. So, like, I think it was originally a Kickstarter, and I started following it around. It's like the end of its Kickstarter, and it looks like basically like a Breath of the Wild clone.
No, it looks like a WoW clone.
A WoW? No. Like it's like it's Breath of the Wild, but then they have these factions, which I think was really interesting, where they said like it's basically like you're on this island, and on this island evolution hasn't worked out how it's worked out in our world. Like on this island, animals evolve quicker than humans, and like humans are the bottom of the food chain there. So you're kind of like stuck in the middle of all these different tribes of animals, and you kind of have to like work your way around, and yeah, like it says, like use trade to trade between them and get like positive, like positive kind of stance with this tribe, but then you might have negative with this, and then and I think the video they showed, like the game just didn't really look like it was like near finished. Like it just almost looked like an alpha, like proof of concept video, which is a shame because I follow them on Twitter and they post updates to the game all the time, and the last update looked a lot more in detail, and the game looked a lot better in that video than they showed in this Nindie showcase. So yeah, like I said, I was kind of like mixed feelings about it because I'm really cool that it's getting some attention because, like I said, I've been kind of following it for a while, but I think they could have maybe done a bit better with what they showed on the showcase because I think it's putting a lot of people off. What did you think, Paul?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have played a game called Armello. It's like a board game. Or digital board game.
I've not played it, but yeah.
No, when the trailer started, I was thinking, this could be like Armello 2 because it's a very similar graphical style. But yeah, once it went on, it was definitely Breath of the Wild, and I thought it looked really good, to be honest. I think it'll get a lot of attention closer to release date as well. It's sort of that open worldy, the faction theme looked interesting, the animal aspect looked interesting. So yeah, I think it's going to do really well. Yeah,
I hope it does. What do you think, Zaf?
Again, difference of opinion. I saw that I'm like, this looks like WoW. The characters model looks like WoW. This is not retro yet. Why are you making a game look like this? It just, like, the UI of the weird, like, again, looked like very prototype UI, and like, this, it just turned me off completely. I'm just like, and then like the fighting with the big health bars, I'm just like, why are you going like this weird old school, but it's not old school yet, like it just turned me off completely, like, the look, and that's why I think when we said Breath of the Wild, like, I didn't realize it because I was at work while watching it, so as soon as I saw this, I'm like, when will this be over? Okay, please, like, just end. Just shoot this thing in the head. Just let it die, please.
So not day one for you then, Darth.
Like, I don't care about this game. I'm not buying it, like, unless it's, like, coming out to amazing reviews, and it goes on sale for $1. It's not on my wish list of games from here.
Yeah, that's it. Like, but that's what I mean though, because I don't know. I feel like what I've already seen of it just through their like developer updates, like it looked way better than what this did, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was like a last minute thing where they were like, oh, okay, you need to put a video together for the showcase, and they just took like old footage of the game and put it in. But yeah, it by the end, I was kind of thinking that too, like, please just end this video because it can't be doing good things for this game.
Yeah, like as Paul said, quick, like looking at it, and it was like, hey, do I have time to play this kind of bigger game on the Switch when there's so many other bigger games? Like, for
probably
me,
just play Breath of the Wild again.
Exactly, right? Like,
that's the problem, yeah.
Whereas like indie games are like supposed to be like nice, short. I'm gonna, especially for the Switch. That's where I go for more indie kind of game, whereas like I can play for 20 minutes. This feels like you can't really do that, and then it's like if I'm going to play a long game or play down and sit for 2 hours to play a game, this is not the game I'm going to play.
No, that's fair enough. So the next 3 games that were announced all come from Flambeer. And the first one is Nuclear Throne, which I guess is kind of like a predecessor to Enter the Gungeon. I remember when Nuclear Throne was like the second biggest like roguelite in the world, and since then it seems to have kind of died a long drawn out death. Like I said, I feel like Enter the Gungeon did a lot to a lot of things better than Nuclear Throne did, and the people that are really into roguelites went and played that instead. But the game is actually already out. It was released on the day of the Nindie showcase, which is cool. The next one up was Super Crate Box, another one from Vlambeer, and it's coming to bring back the golden age of arcade age, which doesn't make any sense, when all that really mattered was getting that high score list. And the final one that they announced was Vlambeer Arcade with Ultra Bugs. So Vlambeer Arcade is a collection of bite-sized games with a growing catalogue that starts with Ultra Bugs, a fast-paced, high-score-centric game in which players pilot a ship to fight endless space bugs. I think these games are cool. It's cool that Nuclear Throne came out on day and date, but to be honest, none of them are really for me, I don't think. I'm not really the biggest fan of like these smaller arcade kind of shooters and high score kind of chasers. Are either of you two into them?
For me, it's like when I saw Ultra Bugs, I was like, bring back Geometry Wars, please.
Oh yeah,
That's the game I want. This kind of reminded me of it. I'm just like, that would be awesome on the Switch. Bring Geometry Wars in some way, please. Like, that's what I thought of right away, and I was like, it looks cool. I mean, it's nice that you can have growing catalog, so if it's something where it's like $5 and you can pick it up and you can get constant new bite-sized pieces, I think it's worth it because
it's a cool,
not crazy expensive, and it will keep giving you content to play. And especially with like co-op or like Lisa Leaderboard, where it's like, oh, I'm playing this one, let's see what you can get. Like as he's saying, right? Like if it's just like a short game where you can get high scores and try to compete with friends, I mean, I think that's a smart idea, and especially because of Vlambeer behind it, it'll have a bit more of chance. Because I mean, the game director there, it's well known. Ismail.
Rami
yeah,
Ismail.
So I think it'll be interesting. I think it could do well depending on the price point.
Yeah. I think it could be like an investment. Like if you buy it with Ultra Bugs and then you kind of gambling on what you get after it. But if they're all small bite-sized games, then maybe you can just play them for a few hours and then be happy with what you've played. What about you, Paul? Did you ever play Nuclear Throne, or are you interested in these like arcade kind of mini games?
No, I didn't know if that was actually a precursor to Enter the Gungeon, because that was the first note I wrote down about Nuclear Throne. But yeah, same as you. None of these are for me. I think there's so many games on the Switch. I don't think I'd want to waste my time on these smaller arcade games.
Yeah. I'm the same. Like I was considering getting Enter the Gungeon, but I still haven't played. I played a lot of I considered getting Nuclear Throne, but I still haven't got Enter the Gungeon on my Switch yet. So I'm like, if I'm going to spend the money, I'd probably spend like half the money on Enter the Gungeon, because I think it's always on sale. So yeah. Next one up was kind of weird looking one, I thought. It's called Swim Sanity. So Decoy Games takes a deep dive with this multiplayer underwater shooter with action-packed co-op and versus game modes, all supported by online and local play. The game comes with an ocean of content, pun intended, with 150 challenges across 8 game modes. Players can toggle between classic joystick controls, motion aiming, whether they're playing locally or online. The game launches this summer. What did you think, Paul? Anything in there for you?
No, nothing. I mean, if there's one thing I don't like in platform games, it's underwater sections. So a whole game based around an underwater section.
A whole game,
and that's me totally out of this one. Absolutely no interest at all.
Yeah. And Darth?
Yeah, I mean, what is the worst thing you think about when you play all Mario games? The water sections. Yeah. It's like, why? It's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then this is like all underwater. And it looks like a game that was on mobile. Something like that. The graphics just look like...
Yeah, it looks like an old Java
It's just
game,
I mean, it could be cool going against like versus modes, but but again, you need people to play with. It's a weird one to have in this indie showcase. I found that a bit like, out of all the games in it, this one's more weirdly placed in terms of like, it had a lot of them were like single player games, story based, or very arcadey, and it feels like it's neither or, right? It feels like this is like one of the pillars on the Nintendo market, and they're like trying to showcase it a bit more.
Yeah, like I think it might come down to that thing, where they said with like at least with the Nintendo Directs, where they want to show you all these games and they want everyone to come away with it like at least 3 that they're interested in, and maybe for someone, it was lacking in like online couch co-op multiplayer games. So maybe they're like, okay, well we have this because, I don't know, maybe there's nothing else, or there's no other indie games making, like, especially with online, like, it's quite rare for indies to have multiplayer. So maybe they kind of saw this and were like, maybe this is for those people that are really interested in these online or multiplayer couch co-op games. Another one which I was kind of thought was cool, but it's not really for me, but I'm sure there was like someone like celebrating somewhere, was Blaster Master 02 was announced. The sequel, it sets its sequel months after the events of Blaster Master Zero. Jason and Eve must venture into the depths of space to stop mutant infection that's slowly corrupting Eve's body. Thankfully, stopping mutant outbreaks is Jason's speciality. the game launches on Nintendo Switch today, so it was already out on Wednesday, which is pretty cool. This game, I don't know, it's a little bit too like anime for me, I think. And yeah, the retro art style I'm not really a big fan of, so yeah, I'm definitely not gonna be picking it up in the future. But like I said, I think someone somewhere it was really excited that this was released on Wednesday. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I mean, it looks interesting. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can see people buying it, as you said. I mean, if it goes on sale and I get the first one. I mean, it looks like a weird, like, cool looking game. It just, again, yeah, not that interested in terms of like, with not a day one pickup for sure. I haven't picked it up yet, and I don't think I'll pick it up in a while.
Mm-hmm. Was Blaster Master Zero? No, I'm thinking of a different game. Which was the one that had Mighty Number 9 in it?
That's
Gunvolt.
It was like another kind of.
Was that Gunvolt?
Gunvolt, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
that's it.
With Blaster Master, I picked up the original because there was like all this hype when it was released, and like everyone said it was an amazing game. And it's one of my. I mean, I've got a few, but it's one of my sort of big Switch purchase regrets. I played it, I just hated it, and then when I saw the sequel, it just looks like more of the same. So no, absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah. Good. The next game, I think it might be quite divisive, is Stranger Things 3, the game. So play through and delve deeper into the events of Stranger Things 3 in a retro-style adventure game from Bonus XP. Explore Hawkins, solve puzzles, and team up with a friend in local co-op to battle the emerging evils of the Upside Down as one of 12 playable characters from the hit original series. The game launches on Nintendo Switch on July 4th, the same day as the third season debuts on Netflix. Do we need this game?
Again, it's a mobile game, because weren't the first two on mobile?
I believe so,
and
yeah.
Again, it's just like, let's bring to the Switch. And hey, wait, it's Stranger Things 2.
Mm-hmm.
Why not show it on an indie showcase? Because people love Stranger Things.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was first shown off at the Game Awards, right? Stranger Things 3, the game. Yeah, it was shown off first at the Game Awards as like a teaser trailer, and this is like the first time they've kind of said like I think the release date. But yeah, I kind of put a poll out on my Twitter, and maybe Paul, if you talk a little bit about your thoughts, and I can have time to type and look for what the results were.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
About the game.
I mean, I'm a big Stranger
because I can't do both at the same time.
No worries. I'm a big Stranger Things fan anyway, so. The tie-in's quite nice, but as Darth says, it is essentially a mobile game. But this one does look a little bit more polished. I don't know if it's coming to mobile, but it certainly looks better than the first game. I played the first game on mobile, and this one certainly looks nicer. My only question really was like, how's the co-op going to work? 'Cause if you're solo in it, is it going to be one character, or is the other character going to be sort of AI controlled? Is it co-op is essential? It didn't really explain it. Just explained that there would be co-op, but they didn't show any sort of solo gameplay.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I guess the co-op works as like.
I think you need it for some of the puzzles by looks fix. You like kind of throwing two switches at the same time.
Yeah, there's true. Yeah, so I put a poll up on my Twitter that said Stranger Things 3 the game, and I just put yes and no, and with 33 votes and 52% of the vote, no got the answer. Ooh. So. Yeah, which I was quite surprised about, because I'm a big Stranger Things fan as well, but until now I didn't know any of these games existed.
The mobile game's pretty good, actually. It's often like quite highly thought of as well. It doesn't look great, but it's quite a fun game, and I think it might have been free at the time.
All right.
It was very cheap anyway.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out, because I don't know. Like I think if the game, like, it seems to be coming from like Netflix and from the writers of the series, so I'm kind of like. If I watch the series and I enjoy it and I'm like, I have like an itch for more Stranger Things, and maybe I'll be like, I'll pick up the game because, there's like a side story that it plays into the actual series. Yeah. Like, that's the only way I can really see myself playing it. Otherwise, I think I'd probably just give it a miss.
I think, like Darth said as well, it depends
and finally,
sorry, I was going to say it depends on price, doesn't it?
Yeah, no. It does, especially if you, like you said, if it comes out for free on mobile and they charge you like $15 for it on the Switch.
That's my
it's like but no, I'm kind of interested to see what it's about. Because if it's free, obviously I'll definitely try it. Like, but I can't see it been
just
through.
bring back Scott Pilgrim Save the World game, please. That's all I want. That all connections of just bring that back, please.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Same kind of look.
Unless you have it on a disc.
So I was like, oh, yeah, that would be nice. And it's like, nope, never going to happen.
So, and the final game, and possibly the biggest shock we've had in indie games on the Switch, is Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necro Dancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. So, this was I was watching the showcase. Like I said, I didn't watch it live. I watched it as a video, and it kind of finished with Stranger Things, but there was still like about a minute and a half after the video. So I was thinking, okay, there's one more thing to come. And I thought maybe it was going to be like Ori and the Blind Forest at the end, like bookending the Microsoft Nintendo Switch friendship and the indies. But then like the beat started going and there's like the art style I thought looked really cool, and I was like, what is this game? But it's kind of like totally out of left field that The Legend of Zelda is kind of mashing up with Crypt of the Necro Dancer. So if you don't know what the game is or is going to be about, it's the latest rhythmic action adventure from Brace Yourself Games. You can enjoy the gameplay of Crypt of the Necro Dancer in the setting of the Legend of Zelda series. As Link or Princess Zelda, players explore randomly generated overworld and dungeons on a quest to save Hyrule, and every beat of the 25 remixed Legend of Zelda tunes is a chance to move, attack, defend, and more. From modern-looking Lynels to the Hyrulean soldiers of old, players must master the instinctive movement of each pixel art enemy and strategically outstep them in rhythmic combat using an arsenal of iconic items from The Legend of Zelda, as well as spells and weapons from Crypt of the Necro Dancer. The game is scheduled to launch this spring, so I didn't realize it was going to be launching so soon, actually. So, Paul, what did you think of this announcement? Like I said, it's pretty out of left field.
Yeah, definitely. Right? It's quite stunning. Like I was sort of waiting for a Slay the Spire or, Ori would have been a good shout, but absolutely no idea where this one came from. I played Crypt of the Necro Dancer and I quite like it, but this one looks much more polished and a different art style as well. And really excited for it, to be honest, now, because the gameplay of Crypt of the Necro Dancer is quite good, and I think putting it in the Hyrule setting is just going to make I think it's going to explode, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. I've like the art style. I just thought looked great, and and the, like I said, the beats pumping in, and I don't know, Daft, what do you think this means for indie games? Do you think Nintendo is going to be more willing to share their IP with indie devs?
I think it's going to be, they're probably going to be very selective on who they share it with, of course. And I think because I figured it's very, they were very much inspired by Zelda and adding a unique keyword is adding a unique twist to it, right? So it's not just like, oh, we're going to rip off Zelda and make like a Blossom Tales, right? Like we're going to take it and add our own thing to it. I think they were like, yeah, this is cool. Let's put something unique to it and make it purely just for the Switch to grab people who like that game to play it on and get a Switch, right? And just showing like they will work with other people if it's the right thing to do, right? Like if it works well.
Yeah, I just think it's surprising that I'd like to know the reason why. Like, maybe it's because of what you said, like they wanted to do something totally different with Zelda, kind of like they did with Mario and Rabbids, right? Which I think shows that they are willing to work with other developers if the developers can have a good pitch, I guess, of like, okay, we want to take your IP, but we want to do something totally different with it. Because if you'd asked me before last week, okay, what indie devs do you think Nintendo would let use their IP? Like, the first one that would come to my mind is Yacht Club, because of Shovel Knight and how closely linked Shovel Knight is to like Nintendo systems. And I just think it's really random that Brace Yourself Games were allowed to use Link and Zelda. Like, I feel like it's going to be in a couple of years, it's going to be a really, really interesting story of who approached who and how it all works. And I'd like to know what the revenue split is, like, for them using. Like, is it going to be like a Nintendo published game, or is it like published by someone else, but it has Nintendo's IP in it? Like, I think it's definitely like interesting, and it's kind of like, it makes me optimistic of like what we're going to see next year. If this game is a success, like, well, which indie game dev is going to get to work with which Nintendo IP? Like, it might come down to the point, you know, where we were talking on the Generation 8 podcast about, I think it was it me and you, Darth, about maybe some other development studio getting the Pokemon IP and doing something totally different with it. Like, I think it's really, really exciting.
I think as well, sorry, just to jump in there was rumours, certainly on like Reddit and places like that there was another 2D Zelda coming this year, and possibly before it wasn't Link to the Past. What's the new one coming?
Awakening.
The 2D one.
Yeah,
Link's Awakening. Yeah.
Link's
There was rumours there was another 2D Zelda coming, and possibly before Link's Awakening. So I guess this is what that was.
Probably.
Yeah, because it was hinted at. The name escapes me, but he's a writer for Game Informer. He does the news. He hinted at this during when he was on Kind of Funny Games Daily. But when there was a Nintendo Direct, that there was going to be something huge and something very surprising, and this was it.
Yeah.
He confirmed this was it.
Yeah, I remember.
And I think the biggest thing of this is that this was on. They decided to put this on the Nindie Showcase, showing how big. Also, they want to be like, hey, look, the Nindie Showcase is like big. Like, you want to pay attention to it. This is that validity to it, right? Not just here's indie games. There's also now here's maybe indie games with some Nintendo flavoring into it.
Yeah. And it makes me happy as well because it means I can play the game and review it. Because otherwise, I think if it was just a Zelda game, I'd be like, oh, well, it's a first party one. But if Nintendo, and the same with Cuphead, if Nintendo are saying it's an indie game, then I'm allowed to review it, which is pretty cool. But nah, I think like the game looks cool. Like I've never played Crypt of the Necrodancer, but I've heard like how good it is, and like it's on sale a lot on the Switch for like really, really cheap usually. But I've never played it, but now definitely like the next time I see it on sale, like I'm definitely going to pick it up, get like practice in, and then when the Zelda and Link version come along, I'm going to jump in straight at the beginning. So that's kind of like the summary of the Nintendo, the Nindie Showcase that was on last week. Let us know what games you enjoyed the most and what games you are going to be picking up the most. Like I said, I think at least for me, Cuphead is going to be maybe a day one buy. And what was the one
Cadence.
I liked? And what was it called? Katana Zero.
And Pedro.
So, and
just a big
and
list.
Pedro. Yeah, so there's a lot of games. Yeah. But we did actually have one question about the Indie Showcase. So Rob wrote in and said the Indie Showcase was epic. I can't believe that Cuphead is coming to the Switch. But is there anything you were surprised wasn't featured in it? And I think Paul, we both kind of said one game we were surprised wasn't there. So what game was that for you?
Slay the Spire was a stunning admission.
Yeah.
I mean, they admitted at the start of the year, kind of January-ish time, February, that it was coming to consoles and they were going to be announcing a release date in February. They actually held an AMA on Reddit that they said, we've got good news about console release dates coming next week, which I think would have been like either the first week of February or the second week of February. So everyone was sort of primed for that. And then we got news that the publishers were delaying a release date until March. So it then kind of tied in, and you're sort of expecting it to be announced and maybe even dropped. That was sort of going to be the surprise drop. Yeah. But to have nothing at all mentioned was a shock. That was maybe one of the bigger shocks of the whole showcase, really, that there was just no mention of it.
Yeah, because was it like 2 Nindie Showcases ago that it was first?
So. But again,
kind of teased. And
I was gonna say, like, again, I think it wasn't shown purely because these were all new games coming to the Switch. Like, that game would have been, okay, we've seen this already, here's a release date. Usually those things would have been if they had those, like, quick paced, like, messages, like, here, like, they do sometimes on Nintendo Showcase, where it's just like, they do, like, 5 or 6 really quickly, like, boom, 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 boom. That would have fit there because it would have just been a release date because everyone knows the game already. Because these were at GDC and these were, like, new game announcements for Switch. I don't think it fit in that for that reason over, like, for anything else. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if you're going to do another Nintendo showcase, Nindie thing in the coming month or two, and be like, here's the release date of games that you've already announced.
Yeah. Yeah, like that definitely could be the case. And what like I don't think it's true, but what I noticed was like all of these games are coming in 2019 as well. Like there wasn't any that was scheduled for next year, so I was thinking maybe Slay the Spire isn't the release date isn't going to be this year, which I can't really see happening because I know it's like out on Steam.
Yeah, they said about when they.
But I was like, maybe that's
why.
So
when they said they were pushing the release date until March, and guys on Twitter were sort of a bit down on them. They said, "Don't worry, we're going to release announce the release date, and then the actual release is going to follow quickly after." So that's the good news. So I'm sure, I'm absolutely positive it's ready to go. Yeah. But for some reason, it's being held up, which is just must be frustrating for the devs as well.
Yeah,
I think also another reason is that most of these games they announced may have deals just for the Switch or coming out on Switch earlier. And that may be on all consoles at the same time, kind of thing. I think they were trying to highlight games that were going to be more Switch exclusives or Switch unique,
had some type of exclusivity. Because
I mean, the Devolver games are purely, I think, mostly just going to be on Switch and PC. The only one I think is on all of them I know of may be Stranger Things and Swim Sanity. But yeah, I think a lot of them they were trying to also highlight just pure Switch games. Why you want indie games to play on a Switch?
Yeah. Yeah, or it might just be like Paul said, there's just an issue with the publishers, and the publishers are just saying, well, we have to resolve this issue until it's resolved, we can't give a release date. So, yeah, it was definitely a big omission, I thought, as well. Darth, was there any you thought were missing, or anything you
not
thought
really
we
again
might
because
see
I
that
figured
we
we're going to see mostly all new stuff, so you can't really predict what's going to be new. I was thinking maybe the Hollow Knight 2 Silk Song, but that just came out a few weeks ago, so I was like, I don't think that. And yeah, I mean, that was not really hard because, again, I think really the biggest indie game is Slay the Spire. That's on PC. That's not on Switch yet, right? So
yeah, that's it. We've gotten to that point now where I feel like all the indie games that people wanted are already on Switch because people have been asking for it. And Slay the Spire is the only one that comes to my mind that isn't there. The only other one was the one I think you said on Twitter, Paul.
Code Cross. Yeah.
The RPG. Yeah, Code Cross. Yeah. I thought maybe we'd hear something more from that. But
I think they said in the last showcase, it was coming in the summer. So I guess they're just going to leave it at that till closer to time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Good. Story number 2 this week is Nintendo shared their top 10 best-selling indies of all time on the Switch. They revealed it at GDC, which is the game developers conference. The top 10 list is as follows. In at number 1 is Stardew Valley. In at number 2 is Hollow Knight. In at number 3 is Overcooked 2. Number 4 is Undertale. Number 5 is Dead Cells. Number 6 is Enter the Gungeon. Number 7 is Graceful Explosion Machine. Number 8 is Celeste. Number 9 is Golf Story. And number 10 is Overcooked. And I found some interesting information from Matthew Handran over at gamesindustry.biz. So he says, Nintendo confirmed that the popular farming sim Stardew Valley is the best-selling indie game globally on the Switch. In the chart released at last year's GDC, Concerned Ape's title only placed at 9th. Part of the reason for its rapid rise could be the increased popularity in Japan. In January 2018, Nintendo released 2 indie game charts, one for Japan and one for the rest of the world. In the latter chart, Stardew Valley was in the top spot, but didn't even make it into the top 10 in Japan. Team Cherry's Hollow Knight is the second best-selling indie game, rising up from 8th place last year. Overcooked 2 is the highest new entry, however, charting in 3rd place despite not being on the list at all in March 2018. Undertale, Dead Cells, and Graceful Explosion Machine were all new entries on the list, while last year's top game, Celeste, fell into 8th place. So is there any not shocking surprises there? Any surprises there? What do you think, Darth? Any surprises in that list?
I mean, Overcooked 2 being 3rd in that list kind of a bit surprising for me because it only came out last fall.
Yeah.
And they're rising that quickly, and especially for me is I would play those games on other consoles if I had it. Because I understand it's 2 players, but playing on the Joy-Con is very small for that kind of game.
And I think like the discourse around Overcooked 2 is that it's not as good as Overcooked 1 as well.
No, I played it. I platinumed that on PS4. I love it way more. But I think it had a bit of problems on launch on Switch, if I'm correct. So was one reason why I did not pick up on Switch. Plus, I wanted the trophies. And yeah, I played that with my friends. I'd rather play on a TV than have played handheld. Like that game did not interest me for a handheld game, right? And that's why I didn't buy it, because like, well, if I'm not gonna play portable, I'm not gonna buy it on the system. Other than that, like the others make sense. I'm a bit surprised that Celeste is so low on the list.
Yeah.
But Golf Store being in there and Graceful Explosion Machine makes sense in terms of when they come out.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking, was Graceful Explosion Machine. Like, I guess wasn't it on launch?
April 6th. It came out a month later. But again,
you
play Zelda, you're done Zelda, you're like, well, how does the console, what else do I buy on it? And it was just like a lot of news sites were picking up on that game. So it was like in the press at that time. And it was, I think it was really well priced. I don't think it was that expensive. And again, it's an arcadey game. It was one of the first arcade games on it. So I think it had a really high like purchase rate at the beginning of the when it came out, and then probably it was always on special.
Yeah.
And afterwards, and I think people slowly kept buying it.
Yeah, I think that I agree. Like, it must have been that it had huge sales at the start, and then since then maybe it's gone on sale and people have been buying it on sale because it's had a lot, like you said, a lot of news coverage since then. Paul, anything surprising on there for you, or any games you would have thought maybe should have placed higher, like sales wise?
Yeah, I mean, same for me. Overcooked 2 at third is like amazing, and to have both Overcooked games in the top 10, I mean, I didn't think they were that well received at all. But that's really. I mean, when you look at games like that aren't on there, like Shovel Knight maybe and Binding of Isaac. It's a really weird list for me.
Binding of Isaac, I think the thing is that it's a thing where people probably have on other places. Yeah. And it was not a cheap indie game. It was like $50.
Yeah.
Around, so
in the UK,
it kind of goes above the like limit of like pricing, you would think, right? Like,
like
it's a bit high on that.
Are around. They're around like 15 euros.
Exactly.
Like I think Stardew Valley, Hollow Knight, Undertale,
Death Hell has been more.
Celeste, Golf Story, all of them are 15 euros, and like Dead Cells is a little bit more. I'm not sure about Graceful Explosion Machine, and I think Overcooked.
Graceful Explosion Machine was cheap. I think it was, again, probably that price range below.
It was on offer when it was launched as well. I think it had like 25% off or something. It was about £7 in the UK. I'm sure it was.
So here's a question for you two: when new indie games are released, is there like a price for you where it's like, okay, so say I don't know, say what's it called? Cadence of Hyrule is released tomorrow, and it's set at a price where you're like, okay, this is an instant buy. Do you have a price where you think it's too high for an indie game, where you're kind of like, okay, now, although I think the game looks great, I'm going to wait for it? Because I think for me, the perfect price of like where I've got no issue buying it straight away is about 15 euros. So like, but if a game's like, if an indie game's like 25 euros, I'm like, maybe I'll look at review scores, or maybe I'll wait till it goes on sale, or maybe I'll play something in my backlog first before I purchase it. Like, do you guys have like that similar kind of like barrier to entry for games?
For me personally, I mean, I'm buy stupid games anyway. I mean, I bought Binding of Isaac at £35 when it came out, despite pretty much hating the game on all other. I had it on like every other device going. Hated it. Bought it on Switch because I'm just silly like that, and ended up loving it. So, but same as you. I mean, in the UK here, sort of £15. Even though I sort of do tend to shop around all the different e-shops to get the best bargains. But I think once you go past £15, then you're kind of going out of that indie territory. And you kind of sort of put in a foot into sort of AAA or at least AA games. So you've then got to make a decision of are you going to spend $19.99 or £25 on a game when you could be almost at a AAA price. So 15 for me.
Yeah, and you, Daff?
For me, it's like the price. Like, again, I think it's more my interest. Because I say, like, we were talking about Cadence. I was like, oh, let me see how much Crypto Necromancer is. And in Canada it's $25. I'm like, ooh, I don't think I'll put $25 in for a game where I'm like on the edge of like liking it because I'm not big into rhythm kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a game where like, it's not interesting, but like for Cuphead, like I got right away $25 Canadian. Like pre-ordered it because I know I'm gonna be playing like even though I own an Xbox. Like it depends on the game. Like War Groove, like things like that. Like if it's $25-$30, I know I'm gonna play it or really love it and be interested in it, I'll pay that price because like it also depends on content. Again, also me being part of the game industry, knowing how much work is put into a game, and me willing to help other companies, right? Like feel good. Like it depends on the content, what is there and how much is there and how like Dead Cells, right? Like even though it's $30, but knowing that they pay everyone the same price, it was like I don't mind giving them money because I want to support this idea, support this company, right? Like there's like things that are day one buys, like even like Hollow Knight, I got it when it came out on Switch, even though I didn't know much about it. It looked really awesome. Like I'll put the $20 down for it.
Yeah.
Played it for 48 minutes, didn't really like it that much. Got on the PS4 for some reason, played with my friend, loved it, and I was like, okay, cool, like right, it's for me, it's like the game needs to capture me, and I'll see from there the price.
Yeah, like I think it's fair. Like I don't think every game should be priced the same because it takes different studios, different amount of work to produce a game. So I think it's good that there are these like staggered kind of price points for different games. It's like I think it's sometimes it's worse when games sell themselves too cheap because you think, okay, how many hours went into making this game, and you're selling it for like I don't know $3 or €3 or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's a good thing to give consumers like a choice as well to be like, okay, well, like you, like, okay, I want to support the devs, so I don't mind paying extra or yeah. It's just an interesting thing I just thought about as we were talking about it then. Yeah,
I think they have to be careful with the pricing because like there's a game came out this week called Azure Saga, I think it's called, like an RPG.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're priced at £6, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, why is it only £6? Is it not very long?
Yeah.
Is it not very good? I mean, if they'd have priced that, say, at like, I don't know, £10 or £15, then I may be more inclined to look at it. But at £6, I've almost automatically switched off and just thought it obviously can't be any good. They've got no confidence in it. They're selling it for £6, so why am I even going to bother looking at it? So I think there's sort of that. You need that sweet spot. You can't go too high, and I think if you go too low, you risk sort of.
You also you're
damaging your brand a bit.
Like I mean, for example, for me is Monster Boy. Is it Monster Boy? That one for me is like I think about it, again, it's $50 on the eShop for me at least around. And it's like when I saw your reviews and you guys talked about it, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And again, if it was like $25, I probably would have picked it up just because from how you guys are talking about it.
Yeah.
Seeing it at that price, I'm like, I'll rather wait for it to go on special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a demo now. I may try the demo and see, but again, I'll probably also wait for it to go on special.
Yeah. Yeah, Monster Boy is an interesting case because I think like I don't know the devs or anything, but we've like chatted over Twitter a bit and with the publishers, and like I think they kind of had like a vision and they stuck to that vision throughout like the entire dev cycle, and we're kind of like, yeah, we don't want to change it. Like this is the game we want to make, so we're not gonna like put the game out early. We're gonna delay it, and they delayed it like 3 times, I think. And they were like, yeah, because of like this, and it's like a really high quality. It is like really high quality game, like a really like one of the most high quality indie games.
Yeah.
In terms of like mechanics and animation and the art design and like everything, and it's quite long too. It's like I think 18 hours to beat the like story campaign. But yeah, and I think for them it was cool that they put the like in euros, it's €40, I think, which is a lot for an indie game, but I guess they kind of saw the value in their game, and I think luckily people have where the game's gone down as a success. So
that's the thing. I mean, that game's almost AAA quality, and some games you don't begrudge paying that little bit of extra, do you? Because it's just got so much polish and shine that it deserves it. To be honest.
It does, and like it really annoys me that I bought Anthem last month for like £60, and now I'm like, Well, I hope in a year's time Anthem's going to be good, because right now I feel like I've just wasted my money.
And in a year's time, that game is going to be like $20.
Yeah.
Or free, probably, on PSN or something. Yeah.
I'm the same with The Division. Just that's my own fault. I just don't have the time to play those games, but I still went ahead and bought it at retail, and regretting it already because I just don't get the time to play it. It needs to be on Switch.
Yeah.
Division 1 for Switch.
Division 1 for Switch. Yeah. So, Dav, you said you wanted to add a story in here about.
Well, I'll connect it to the one you already have.
Okay.
So, Image and Form confirmed via Twitter that SteamWorld Quest will have a physical release. Will be launched but will launch digitally only. Wait, what? Have a physical release, but will launch digital only.
Yeah. So basically, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, I understand. Okay, yeah, right. But also during GDC, they were showing their battle, how they showed trailers of how the battle system will work, and it looked really interesting. Again, very much like Slay the Spire looking.
Yeah.
Battle system with a card deck. Hopefully, they do not come out around the same time, because one will destroy the other, and probably SteamWorld will win on this one. That's a game I'm surprised I did not make the top 10 list, actually.
Which one?
Any of the SteamWorlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a game that, again, a lot of people were talking about when it came out. But again, I think it's a niche market again. Like, people who love those Metroidvania kind of games will love this game.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like SteamWorld Dig 2 is like the game that whenever you talk to people about it, they're always like, oh yeah, it looks so good, I need to buy it. And I don't know, it just seems like people really love like the SteamWorld IP, but for whatever reason, they never got around to SteamWorld Dig 2,
and I think again was also around 25. Again, it was a bit more on the.
It's 20 euros.
Yeah, exactly. So probably here's on 25, 30. So again, it's a bit out of that instant buy. Like when you talk about instant buy prices, right? Like for indie games, it's a little bit on the higher edge. Like I think 20 is the easiest. Like the Canadian is the easiest sweet spot of like, I'll put it down to buy it, but anything above is like, I need to know about the game. Yeah, you were talking about, right? Yeah. And then you love that game, and I like those kind of games. It's a beautiful game, but yeah, this one has an interesting mechanic. It's nice seeing different ways of playing SteamWorld Dig games. It interests me. I like the deck building idea behind it, and especially that it's not going to have any kind of microtransactions.
Yeah,
it's a pure deck building, like inside the game of cards you're going to get. I think it's going to be unique and interesting.
Yeah, me too. And I love how much Image and Form are showing of the game, because like I think I've said before on the podcast, when it was first announced, I was kind of a bit like, oh great, a SteamWorld game with cards, and there's probably going to be like microtransactions to buy the cards, but like you said, they kind of come out and say there's going to be no microtransactions, and just the more I see of the game, the more I'm like, oh, I would just want to play it right now.
Yeah, and it's already pre-purchasable on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, cool. So that was part of our news tidbits, and I'll quickly just round off the other ones. So the first one was the Switch accounts for half of Toe Jam and Earl back in the Groove sales. So basically Toe Jam and Earl came out on the Switch, I think it was on the 1st of March, and all of its sales, or half of its sales, have all come from the Switch, which is pretty impressive. The next little bit of news was that there is a massive eShop sale going on indies on the EU and UK eShops. So if you're...
And US.
In the US. So I think it's off the back of the Nindie showcase. So if you're looking for a bargain, there's a chance to pick up some decent indie games on there. I think there's some like Devolver Digital games on there, and there's a load of tiny build games. Now's your chance to go and pick them up. And the final little bit of news is that Special Reserve Games, another one of these like physical edition game companies, has secured the rights to produce physical editions of Gris. So they've already done The Messenger. Gris is the next game. I think they also have the rights to do Downwell, and there was one other Devolver Digital game, but I can't remember what it is now. So for any of you collectors out there, you can also be collecting the physical edition of Gris. So, section 2, as always, is our conversation portion and what we've been playing this week. I'm going to be totally honest with everyone. I've not played any Switch games this week because I've been diving headfirst into the Division 2. But, Paul, I know you've been doing you've been putting a lot of videos up this week on your YouTube channel. So, tell us a little bit about what you've been playing and what you've been recording up on YouTube.
Yeah, and sticking with the indies, I got Motorsport Manager, which came out. I'm not sure if that's going to be sort of worldwide popular, but it's obviously quite popular in the UK with Formula 1 and stuff. So, been playing a lot of that and putting a lot of videos up. And also did a top 10 of my favourite indie games as a video this week as well. So, that's given me a chance to revisit some of those older games and just play through them again for a little bit just to make sure I still enjoyed them. So, that's been good. Stuff like Binding of Isaac and Stardew Valley. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, quite a lot of indie games this week.
Yeah, cool. And what do you think of Motorsport Manager? Like, I think I've watched the first 2 videos of your Let's Play.
Yeah.
And, like, it's cool. Like, I like the idea of it. You set up your own company and you have to manage the drivers and stuff. But was the game originally a mobile game?
It was, yeah. The very first one was made by one guy, and it was quite a bit more basic than these versions are. And he sort of evolved it over time. But again, the sequel and the third all were on mobile. And then they brought a PC version out, which is a lot more in-depth. It's a bit more like the Football Manager games, if people are aware of those. A bit more, you can sort of dig into the technical side of the cars a lot more.
Yeah, like
the mobile version.
And stuff.
Yeah, and sort of do your setups and practice. But the mobile version is the one that's made it to the Switch with a few enhancements. So it's a little bit basic in some areas. If you really like simulation games, like if you're really heavy into them, it might not satisfy you completely. But for sort of a quick grab and go sort of management game, then yeah, it's really good. I'm enjoying it a lot.
And is there because I noticed it has the kind of mobile trait where I think it's for your like technology. You have to build new areas in new cities around the world, but you have to wait in. Is that in real days? Like how long you have to wait? So if it says okay, you've got 1 week to wait to build this research plant in I think in Vienna was your first one, right?
Yeah.
And is that you have to wait 1 week in real time, or is that just a week within the game?
No, it's like an in-game calendar, so you sort of progress the calendar on. Yeah, so it's 1 week of in-game time. So everything's in-game. I don't think on mobile that there's any of those sort of in-app transactions to sort of speed things up.
Yeah, that's just what I was worried about. Because I was watching the video as I was working on the site or whatever, and I just heard, I'll have to wait a week for that, and I was like, okay, then there must be some microtransaction that lets you. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's cool then.
Yeah, but no, it's a really good game, and as I say, if you like motorsport, if you like management games, then it's a really good price. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it's going to be $11.99 in the UK, but they launched with 20% off, so it's just under £10. So I think that was for 2 weeks, so it may be on sale still.
All right, cool, good. And you've been streaming some RBL, I saw as well.
Yeah, RBI Baseball. Streamed quite a bit of that as well, and playing Rico. And the most recent purchase I got was Chocobo Mystery Dungeon. Not quite an indie game, but still one that's going to be quite popular, I think. So really enjoying that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is it kind of like a Final Fantasy dungeon crawler or?
It is, yeah. It's like it's called the Wanderer series. Is like what the gameplay is based on. There's like a game called Shiren the Wanderer that was on Vita and PC, I think. But basically, it's like a grid-based dungeon crawler, and every time you move your character, the enemies move at the same time. So it can almost turn into like a turn-based, almost like a turn-based strategy game at points as you move and then the enemies move. But yeah, there's lots to it. Sort of randomised roguelike dungeon crawling with these cutesy little characters. But it's quite a tough game and quite a lot to it. So really been enjoying that one as well.
Ah, cool. And Darth, have you been playing anything on the Switch, or have you been stuck in Division 2 too?
I've been playing a lot on the Switch this week, mainly one game.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And the game we talked about earlier, Hollow Knight, is what I've been playing. I've been playing on my PS4, but I play with a friend. The one on my Switch is when I'm playing just solo. Yeah. When I bought the game, I put 48 minutes into it and didn't understand exactly what was going on, so I put it down. I didn't realize you had to get a map and get the tokens to show you where you're on the map, and it was easier to understand. When you got that understanding, it was easier to find out where you had to go back and explore. I mean, it's a gorgeous, beautiful game. The fighting is really fun. It's a lot of, as you can tell, it's inspired by Dark Souls, but it had put its unique twist in, like the lore and how you find stuff. You have like a hunter's encyclopedia of enemies you kill. After a certain amount, they'll give you information, and sometimes in that information will hint to bosses. And there's so many bosses in the game, many bosses, and with all the DLC they added, it adds quite a bit of content for the price of, I think, is 20 Canadian, 25 Canadian. So again, in the perfect price point. Yeah. And a very, very substantial game, and a game where you can play 10 minutes in or 2 hours in the gameplay. I think it's a perfect. Yeah, and I've been going back to a bit of Ape Out, trying to arcade or doing the beatdown mode. Beatdown mode. But yeah, just again, I've been busy at work a lot, so it's a perfect kind of game to just play a few minutes here and there.
Yeah.
So with Hollow Knight, Darth, because I was the same as you, I picked up Hollow Knight on the back of like everyone's recommendations and just everyone going crazy about how good it is. But I was the same as you. I played it and I was like, what is this game? Because I just do not get it. And I tried, I think I played like 2 hours of it, and I wouldn't say I hate it. I want to say I hate it because just I was really disappointed. I was expecting something much better than it was, but I'm just hoping that I'm going to go back to it one day and it's going to click for me and I'll enjoy it as much as everybody says that I should enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you need to hit that. You need to get the understanding. Like for me, I watch someone play it, I think, or I forget what I watch and when you watch someone playing it, like, unless you didn't put the effort in, like you're like understanding. Oh, I have to get the map. Like you find a person inside to get the map of where I am, and get the token that shows me where I am. And when I die, go back. I didn't realize when you died, you had to go back to get your soul to get the coins.
Yeah.
The money you had. And then when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so it's very much like a Dark Souls like idea of the game. And then when you understand that part of it, then it was like, okay. And when you get back when you understand the combat and how to fight, like, yeah. And getting the power, like, it's a Metroidvania essential game, but adding very like Dark Souls elements into it.
Yeah, it's like definitely going to come back to it. It just hasn't clicked with me, and I really want it to. I really want to enjoy it as much as everybody else does.
Especially with Silk Song coming out soon.
Exactly.
Whenever it does come out, I should say soon. But when it does, and then it looks like that the gameplay that's going to be a bit different because the characters that fight will be different than what you are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I think I was going on holiday somewhere and we had like a really long car journey. And I think I played like 4 hours of the game in a row and really, really liked it. And I'd watched like a full Let's Play of it when it came out on Steam and was really hyped for the release. But I don't know, just after that 4 hours, there was just no hook for me to go back. I was like, oh yeah, I'll pick it up and go back into it. But it does feel like a game where I think you have to devote like all of your time just to Hollow Knight, where... like when you review games or make videos for games, I feel like you're switching between games all the time. But yeah, with Hollow Knight, I really got the feeling it's like, okay, this is the game I'm going to be playing for the next 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks, and this is all I'm going to be playing because I feel like there's so much in it.
Yeah.
There's so many secrets, there's so many like things to find, and like you said, with all the bosses and all the DLC, like it to me, I kind of feel like, okay, it does feel almost like a full-time job playing through the game, like a commitment almost.
It's a 60 or 80-hour game, I think, around. And
wow,
the same thing happened. I was on another Discord with a friend. He said the same idea. Oh, I didn't really like it. I played and I put it down, and I was playing it then, and I was hyping it, and he like said, oh, maybe I should go back to it. And he's been streaming that every once in a while. And he's back into it playing, and he got further than me. I have a coworker I'm working with who's playing it too now. Again, I think I talked to him. He got when I was recommending it, and he's like, he's loving it. He's further than me. Like, you go different ways, and like you think, well, where are you? Oh, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even go there yet. Like, you can. There's so many ways to go and find things, and like so many mini bosses. Like then there's like bosses in dreams. There's harder versions of the bosses you fought. Like it's insane of how much content. And for that price point, it makes it even better. Like they could have charged someone probably $50 for this game, and people probably I would have been like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah,
because you know how much content there is.
Yeah, when it came to the Switch, I was really surprised at how cheap it was, because I was expecting to be paying like 30 or 40 euros for it, and it was, I think, 15, and you're just thinking like, yeah, for such a small company to make, because I think it's only like 2 guys that make the game, right? And
wow,
yeah, the amount of love and effort they put into it, and then like Silk Song, I think that came out of like DLC, that they were planning more free DLC. And it just got out of their hands, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? We've made so much content, we might as well just make a new game." So it's yeah.
There's a really good point you made there as well, Adam. Just then is when you're reviewing games and you're just constantly churning through them, you don't have time to really sit back and spend that time in them that you normally would do, like 60 to 80 hours.
Yeah.
You think you're reviewing maybe, I don't know, if you're lucky enough, 5 to 10 games a month. You haven't got the time to put in. There's a really good video, and I don't know if it's posted yesterday or the day before. Some guy on YouTube was saying how he finds a lot of other YouTubers' skill in games like terrible, but he went on to sort of quantify that by saying he appreciates that, you know, this new era of reviewers and streamers and stuff, you're constantly churning through that content. You don't get time to put, you don't get that time in the game to learn the skill. So, you know, people's skills, the YouTube streamers are diminishing a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like you're a master of one, or you're jack of all trades for many, right? Kind of thing. Where it's like you have Twitch streamers who are like, okay, I'm playing Dark Souls, like the guy who did like a no-hit run of all 5 Soulsborne in the game, right? Like, that's all he does, right? Like that's all he does. And people who watch Dark Souls will watch that guy because he's amazing at it. Yeah. But then people who go to Twitch for the personalities. And the guy's like, well, look at this mod again, like Sekiro, right? I'm sure there's like 1,000 people playing Sekiro right now. And they're probably horrible at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to this kind of game, but want to play because it's the most released game. It comes to that idea, right? Where it's like, the people go because they want to see those people playing it, right? And you understand of who they are. And yeah, people might say, well, the guy's shit at it, but those guys know nothing, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's just like one of the most famous case of that, I think, was when Cuphead first came out, and there was that video of the guy who couldn't even get through the tutorial.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, right, that first video, right? That
when he got to jump over the crate, I think, wasn't it? He couldn't even do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Was it a part of Was it a website guy, or was it a big YouTuber?
No, it was It was for a website. I don't even think he was the reviewer. He was just like
was it on IGN or something?
I think it was GameSpot or
one of those,
like,
wasn't
it was definitely one of these big websites.
It wasn't IGN. It wasn't IGN because IGN played, but yeah, it was GameSpot. Yeah, again, it's one of those weird things, right? Like you play so many games that it's hard to get into, especially a game like Hollow Knight where it's very vague at the beginning. So when you get into it, you're like, am I doing this correctly? Am I like? That's like I'm not a reviewer anyway, but I play so many games, and like Hollow Knight just stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like I have too many games on my Switch.
It kind of like falls into what I was talking about last week about Feudal Alloy, and I was saying in like the Discord where I was like, I can't tell if the game is bad or if I'm bad at the game, and but it's kind of like when you're in this like situation, it's like review culture of like, okay, I need to get through this game as quick as I can to review it. I'm like, well, now I have to put the game down and do something else because I can't afford to spend like 4 or 5 extra hours in this game than I thought I'd need, because I can't do it. I'm not good at it to learn it. So that, I'll move on, play something else, and then maybe come back to it. But you know, I'd say like at least like 7 out of 10 times you never go back to those games to finish them.
Well, yeah, same thing happened to me with Rain World. I was excited for that game and did not stick with me. Couldn't understand it, and I'm just like, interesting looking game, but I'd rather play Hollow Knight.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Like I think like people should just play what you want to play, and like I don't know, if you pay for a game and you don't play it, then you kind of like, well, yeah, at least the developers of making some money from the games, and if it doesn't sit with you, then it doesn't sit with you.
No. Can you imagine getting Hollow Knight to review? If in this situation would be really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think with people who will review it are people who play those kind of games, right? Like, I'm not going to go to just a Nintendo reviewer and expect that kind of review, right? Or like,
no,
I'm going to go to people who play like Dark Souls kind of games, right?
Yeah,
who will
Metroidvanias,
exactly, like Los Lobos Jr. or someone like that who will play those kind of games. And if they have a review of it, I'll watch it because I know what their kind of games they play, right? Like, and they will put in time into it because they know that people come and watch and play because those are the kind of games they play, right? It's like it's an interesting idea of like reviewing games. It's a big game, but not everyone's going to review it because no one has the time.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Which always makes me wonder sometimes on Twitter where these games come out and then like 2 days after they've been released, there's like a review gone up, and I'm like, how much of this game have you actually played then to review it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
obviously you do get the codes early a lot of the time. I mean, I think is it Darksiders? I know a lot of reviewers have had that for weeks. Absolutely weeks already, and it's obviously not due out until it's another week or two yet. But yeah, they've probably had a good 6 weeks on that, which I found amazing. I was amazed when people were playing it sort of 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. on Switch?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like that kind of game is like you could pretty much set up a review because you can play it somewhere else and be like,
be ready
the
to
graphics, check out.
Yeah,
all you got to say is like, do the graphics and controllers check out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and does it run okay? Yeah.
Right. So like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting way of looking at games and how they review. And nowadays in this market, is you gotta go what you like, right? And
I think so. Yeah, like with me, there's whenever I get review codes, it's usually like day and date of when the game comes out, and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's cool. Like I get the codes, but like the most amount of interest is usually on the release day. So I'm like, well, if I get a code for a game on the release day, I'm like, well, most of the traffic that is looking for reviews is going to be gone by in 2 weeks when I've finished the game and I've reviewed it. So like for me, like last month or the month before, I got like Reverie and Away Journey to the Unexpected, and I got them like I think both like a week and a half earlier. And like Reverie's only like 4.5 hours long, and I think Away's like 5 hours. So I beat them all in 1 week and reviewed them, and then put them up on for the embargoes. And it was the same with Rico as well. And like those reviews always do really, really well because people, you know, the devs retweet your tweets because it's when the embargo lifts and people are looking for news and information on them. So like, yeah, sometimes I feel a little bit bad when I get sent codes and I'm like, well, I have to email them back and say, well, I've got like a list of games that I'm already reviewing, and like now you're kind of, it's on the bottom of the list because I want to get through these games first.
Was it like dropping another Switch YouTuber, Age of Boredom, when he got Rico, a few weeks in advance? Because I saw his tweets of Rico like way before. I didn't even know that game would exist in Tony. I only found out because of his tweet, right? His stuff.
Yeah.
Like that is huge, right? Because like you get almost exclusive, in a way, videos, right?
And pretty much until the review bag, or he was like trending as like #1 for the game on YouTube.
Yeah.
So like anyone that was typing Rico into YouTube, he was getting the views for it, which is like awesome because, you know, he did the legwork, he got the review early. No one else was making content for it. He was making really great content for it, and then like he's getting rewarded with the views. But it's like, you know, if I was going to set up my YouTube channel now, I'm like, I don't think I'd do a Rico Let's Play because I feel like he's already catering to that audience.
Yeah. You really have to pick and choose your games, like ones that maybe are going to fly under the radar. That's why I thought that RBI would be so good as well, because I know that every year so many people ask, you know, is this any good this year or is it still rubbish?
Yeah.
So I thought, I mean, I was really I was amazed that I managed to get a code for that, and I managed to get it up on release day. And it did, you know, you've seen it did really well just because those people were coming in, seeing if it was actually any good or was still trash, but.
Yeah, exactly.
Those sort of games, they're the ones you need. The ones that are just going to, not many big reviewers are going to review, but still get a lot of.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah.
You said, right, because it's like games like the big indie games, right? Like Wargroove, Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, all those.
Cuphead, yeah.
Cuphead. You're gonna get IGNs. You're gonna get the GameSpots. You're gonna get Game Informers reviewing those games, which are going to take the biggest portion of viewers, right? Because viewers are gonna be like. Cuphead, and those are going to be ones to be shown up, right? So, like, those are the games that, you know, are better to focus on, because, like, if I'm interested, I'll look for what I can find on YouTube, and if there's only a few people doing it, they're going to get the most of the views, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, that's the end of our conversation portion, which I felt like we talked more about reviewing games than the games we the games we played, but that's fine, it's all part of the conversation. Just a reminder that this podcast is brought to you by the SwitchedIndieFix.com. No, it's not. It's brought to you by the Switch IndieFix Discord, which you can join by going to SwitchedIndieFix.com/Discord. Paul and Darth are both very active members of the Discord. And if you guys want to chat about indie games or Nintendo games or whatever games you're interested in, then come join us in the Discord section. And our final section of the week is the question sections. And our question, the only question this week, comes directly from Mr. Darth Stridious. So, Darth, what is your question for this week?
So, the biggest thing we heard at GDC was the Google streaming service, potentially that's going to come. And we know that all the other ones in Microsoft and PlayStation are most likely planning something in that realm also. We know that Microsoft for sure is. Sony most likely is that they haven't talked about. With Nintendo most likely not going that route, do you think that Nintendo could still survive in a new landscape, potential changing of landscapes for the gaming, how the gaming is going?
So you mean like if the future is streaming, do we think Nintendo is still going to be able to survive?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we kind of touched on it in the Discord that the one thing that, for me, that Nintendo always has and has more, like in some ways better than the competitors is its IP. So like I don't know. It comes down to with the Google Stadia. Like they had this amazing reveal on Monday, and oh my god, you can just do it from a Chrome browser, and it's 4K 1080p or whatever. But then the next day it came out that you need like 25 megabytes of upload speed or download speed to run it. So it's like, well, most people in the world, even in like the developed world, don't have that fast of internet. So it's like, okay, maybe you can get Google Stadia on your phone, but what's it going to be like when you're, I don't know, 20 meters underground on a metro to work? Are you really going to be able to play your Google Stadia? And like, I really hope you can do, because I think I've really believe in like this streaming future. But the way Nintendo has gone with the Switch, I think making it like a console and a handheld and having their IP, like maybe it'll die out that indie games will keep coming to Switch. Maybe they'll want to go to Stadia. And like I kind of joked on Twitter that my site's going to be called Stadia Indie Switch instead of Switch Indie Fix, because Stadia Indie Fix instead of Switch Indie Fix. But yeah, I think Nintendo, like if they keep going down the line of the Switch and making it portable and making it accessible for everyone, and putting their Mario and Zelda, and like showing like with Zelda and with this kid and Hyrule that they're willing to like hand their IP to other people and make it like and revolutionize their IP, then I think that's like the way forward Nintendo will go, because they kind of always go against the grain anyway. So I guess now like they're seeing success and they're kind of on that rail to success, and I guess they'll stay on it until it doesn't work anymore. And I kind of feel like with Nintendo, usually they see it's too late that it's not working, and then it takes them like another generation to get back where they are. But I think streaming is going to be more. I think have more of an effect on PlayStation, because no one knows what PlayStation is going to do yet.
Yeah, I think the same. Nintendo have always done their own thing, so I don't think, probably to a lesser degree like PlayStation will do, they'll probably go chasing the streaming. I know they've got the PS Now, but I think they'll probably go all in on some sort of streaming device as well, and Nintendo will probably sit back and let them fight it out. Yeah, and maybe if we do get the Xbox Live in some capacity coming to the Switch, like it's been rumoured, like with Game Pass, maybe that will be Nintendo streaming, and maybe we'll start seeing Nintendo IPs on Xbox as exclusives. There's really quiet rumblings that we could see maybe something like Splatoon on Xbox, which would be amazing. I'd be amazed if Nintendo start giving their IPs away to that degree. But you could see something like in the future a Splatoon on Game Pass, and then Game Pass is streamed to the Switch. But I can't see them going. I can't see them investing in anything like. I mean, look at VR. I mean, they've done VR, but they've done it Nintendo's way. They've not gone in for the big headset. They've gone, down a more family-friendly route. That's the Nintendo way. So they won't go chasing Stadia, I don't think.
I think, to be honest, like even like as a competitor, Nintendo, all they need to do is just improve their their what is become, what was the virtual console. Like if they put like all of their IP online on like this NES thing and open it up to all of their past games, like I think that's like a competition to streaming. If you can just play any of the classic Nintendo catalogs and you're just paying like a subscription to have access to the catalog instead of buying the games a la carte, like for them I think is that's like pretty impressive and a way that they could battle it anyway. If it's like, oh, you want all these retro classic games, then you have to pay us $20 a year or whatever it is, or maybe they even put it up to it's like, oh, you have to pay us $6 a month or something like that. Like, that would be competition in some ways. So thank you everyone for tuning into this bumper Switch Indie Fix podcast episode. Like we just said, I think we've been recording for like 2 hours, but it's been a really great podcast. We've had a lot of good conversation and a lot of good, nice things to talk about. So Paul, where can people find you again if they want to see some of your videos, some of your Motorsport Manager and RBL videos?
Yeah, SwitchedOn Games on YouTube and SwitchedOn on Twitter, but there's unfortunately no E in SwitchedOn, so it looks a bit weird, like SwitchedOn Games.
Okay.
But I'm on Twitter a lot as well. And the Discord, obviously.
Yeah, awesome. And Darth, where can people find you?
Darth Stridious on Twitter and the leading talker on the Discord.
Yeah. So definitely, if you are interested in our conversation, then definitely come and join the Discord at switchindiefix.com/Discord. The podcast will go up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as soon as I can after the show. So please be sure to review it wherever you can. And I don't think people know this, but there's like 2 ways to review on Apple Podcasts. You can review the episode and you can review the channel. So like Switch Indie Fix Podcast. Not the last one. The episode before last, a lot of people reviewed the episode, and like that episode went straight to being like the highest downloaded episode that I've got. So please, if you have an Apple phone, please be sure to review the podcast, because it definitely helps. It makes new people find me a lot easier and find our podcast a lot easier. So that's really helpful. If you want to get in contact with me, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at SwitchIndieFix, or like I said, join the Discord at switchindiefix.com/Discord. And be sure to go check out Paul's reviews and videos and hit Darth up on Twitter if you have any problems with the podcast. And go to Darth. Direct all your problems at Darth, not at me, okay? So for more reviews, including our latest review of, I think it's called Daggerfall, or Daggerwood, which is going up sometime over the weekend. Please be sure to check out switchindiefix.com and leave me a comment letting me know what game I should review next. So thanks again, guys, for joining me and joining us, and we will all see you next time.
Thanks,
bye.